You know, I've always been amazed by how much I can put in the back of this little car. And all that really means is that I can make spontaneous decisions about things that I probably don't really need. But, well, here it is. This is a 1962 Zenith black and white console. I drove about 800 miles with this thing in the back of the car. I had to make a decision about whether this was going to literally go in a dumpster or if it was worth keeping. I mean, it is a beauty. This thing was literally in the same living room for over 45 years, and it had endured the most recent hurricane, Hurricane Ian, in southwest Florida. And the family that had it had brought it from New Jersey in 1975. They probably bought it new in 1962. It's a single owner set, and unfortunately the matriarch of the family who owned this was riding out the hurricane with her granddaughter, and yeah, tragedy. The back half of the house was completely obliterated when the roof blew off. And this had been literally sitting inside of their living room for, well, I heard 47 years. And a long time ago, decades ago, it stopped working, and it was considered to be such a beautiful piece of furniture that they just kept it in their house. And they put a couple of audio components on top, and it just became furniture. So we'll pull this out. We'll check the CRT. I don't know if it's any good, and if it isn't, then I'll make another decision about what to do about it. Is solid wood or very high quality plywood. You can just see the multi-layer plywood there, multi-laminate plywood. I mean, this thing maybe weighs 180 pounds. It is incredibly heavy. And they call it a service saver chassis, but that's not a service saver chassis cabinet bottom. So this is the back. I had taken it off, and I stored a bunch of things inside of the cabinet while I was traveling. I just wrapped them up well, and I put them around where the speakers were. There's a lot of empty space inside some of these console TVs, but you can see the back, and they call it a service saver. And I thought that meant there was an access panel underneath the cabinet to get at the bottom of the chassis, but well, certainly not on this model. And this is a VHF only. There's no UHF tuner. And this particular this Ballon was attached to it, which is kind of contradictory to what I was told. I was told this set hadn't worked since 1975, but I don't know. It's in the 75 ohm era, so don't really know the truth about that. But you can see the chassis number here. It's a 16H28Q. The H year in Zenith lore was from 1962. So that's what this is. As you can imagine, the doors slide open. However, the track, it's on like a wooden laminate track, and it's disintegrated, so I can get them open, but it doesn't slide anymore. And it's amazing how these feet are spaced perfectly wrong. They're just wide enough that they don't fit on these cheap furniture dollies. So it's kind of precariously balanced right here. Otherwise, I bring it out onto the driveway. But that's the cabinet. It's really in excellent shape. Like I said, it was inside of somebody's living room it's inside of a house for its entire 60 years of existence. And the only thing is this splotch of color on the top. When I took it out of the house, there was a towel on top with a turntable placed on top, and underneath that towel was a piece of pink or red paper that had some diagrams of how to hook up the stereo, and it's probably been there for 40 years. And some of the ink from the paper transferred over to the lacquer or varnish, whatever it is here. but this thing is really in beautiful shape. Got the doors off. You can see this. There's a track. Looks like it's laminated, little piece of thin material, wood, I guess. Been molded and glued down, but it's just totally disintegrated. So the doors came off though. There's a slot in the back and they go this way. Both of them would slide off this way. And look at that, there's the microphone for the Space Command remote. 400, Space Command 400. And a trim piece. That would be channel up and down. And this would be bass and treble and volume on off, probably. Yep. Volume on off. So, and that would have been a place where you'd hook your Space Command remote. All the controls are underneath. All the stuff you need. Like I mentioned, this is a black and white set. And the doors, they're yeah, on the back. They are just like a burlap type material or some sort of thicker material. And they're all stapled together. It makes up this flexible arrangement. Pretty cool. In all of its glory. This is a high fidelity set. So you can see 16:9 low frequency speakers, and then above it, these piezo type tweeters up on top, and there's a pair of them. Of course, it's mono sound, but there are two 16:9 woofers and two soft dome tweeters. And there's our chassis. What do we have here? We have, that's the audio output transformer, and this is the Space Command chassis. And well, we'll see. Let me you can see this track that I mentioned that the doors were running on. It's thin slat of wood, and it was glued, laminated, whatever, into this channel, and that's what the doors would slide on. And then this block was kind of keeping the door from going too far. It was kind of near the water, so you can see there's corrosion that clearly is going to be evident all over the set. And this white flaky stuff, I have to believe, is part of the result of that environment. So this CRT socket, I don't know. Yeah. I don't know. That's going to need to be dealt with. And the base of the CRT is wiggly, so I'd be pretty careful with this. But you can see a lot of this white stuff all over. I have to believe that's just the result of some of this, just the environment that the set was in. So according to, this is a, this picture tube is a 23BTP4. 23BTP4. And looking at Syncor book, you need the universal adapter, set it on video. What is that? Filament 1 and 2, 1 and 12, 6.3 volts, 36 volt bias, black and white tube. Cathode is 11. The G1 is 2, and the G2 is, what is that? 10. 10. All right, so let me get these connected up here. So the back of the CRT looks pretty clean. It doesn't have that annealing, or there isn't much of it anyway, that you would see around a CRT that has a lot of use. So we got it all hooked up with the universal adapter. All right, so yep, there you go. Heater's working. Okay, so we're at 6 volts. Check our heater cathode shorts. Good. G1 shorts. Good. Cutoff. Set our cutoff. Oh my God. Oh my God, cutoff's great. Okay, moment of truth. Emissions. Holy crap. This is a brand new picture tube. I can't believe it. Now I've got to actually restore this. Wow. Okay, and that's only at 6 volts. Huh. Okay, well. Okay, well, brand new picture tube. You know, I was just sitting here thinking about this. I had actually kind of hoped this picture tube was going to be no good. Because then I'd have an excuse to part out the chassis and say goodbye to part of this. But, as you just saw, this thing is, it's brand new. So, 60 years old and brand new. I checked all of the tubes. I mean, I had to do it eventually anyway, so I thought, why not just do it now? And for the most part, most of them are good. There's a couple that were marginal, so I made a note. But I don't think that the condition of any of them would be enough to preclude it from working. And there's quite a few tubes in the remote chassis. There's 8. So, and I did find that there's a 5U4 right there. That should be a 5Y3, I believe. Yep, 5Y3, but they're sort of the same tubes. They're sort of replaceable, but sort of not. The 5U4 is has a higher current to it. May draw more current, but that's what was in here, so I have to assume that it was working at one point anyway. So yeah, looking inside this Space Command chassis, there it is. Yep. That circular thing right here would be the volume stepper. So once we get this juiced up, we'll see how that works. But right now I'm going to take a look at this. There's a lot of corrosion here. All right, so I have that resoldered. So that's good. And yeah, a little bit wiggly. I have to be very careful with that. But I don't see anything wrong. This chassis, the tubes are for the most part all good, and the picture tube tests as good as new. So I'm gonna get a Variac and a current monitor, and we're gonna bring this up to speed slowly, assuming these capacitors haven't had anything through them in decades. Might as well bring it up slowly over 15-20 minutes and keep the horizontal output unplugged, the plate cap off of the horizontal output tube. We're getting close to just throwing some power on this and see what happens. We've got the Variac here and a kilowatt meter. Last night I just took a look and downloaded the SAMs. The power supply here, just gonna take it easy on this startup since it hasn't been run in a while. Pretty basic things. Power transformer set, a 3DG4 dual diode low voltage rectifier, and yeah, it just produces 245 volts and 100 volts for the B+. And eventually these caps here, the filter caps, will have to be replaced if I can get it going, but I think there's enough. This thing is in pretty good shape. It'll start up, I'm sure. And I found some of these things, tube extenders. I had them in my kit, and I was hoping that I'd be able to extend up the horizontal output tube and clip on the scope to the what was it, number 5 pin, the grid, just to see if when we get up to voltage, if there's a horizontal drive waveform. But I don't have an extender. That's an octal socket right there. However, this 6GH8 is the horizontal oscillator, and I do have, this will fit on this one, and I can clip the scope to pin 2 right there, and I can get this waveform. I'd see it. I just wanted to get some idea if there's some oscillator action. So yeah, I'm going to just clip this in here. That would be this tube here. I tested it, as I mentioned. I tested all the tubes, and this one is kind of weak. I just marked it in yellow. It's hard to read the date code on this one. There are a lot of replacement tubes in this chassis, but there are certainly original tubes in here also that I was very impressed to see. I've reconnected the horizontal oscillator tube. It's a 6GH8, and as I mentioned, it tested kind of weak, so I marked it. But and I have a spare, a new old stock, if it proves not to work. And I'm just going into this. I got this a few years back. I have the tuning cord connected to a kilowatt meter and a variac, and we're just going to turn the set on. Yeah, it's plugged in. We're going to turn it on and turn it up, I guess. And there should be, if the lamp still works, there should be, the channel number should be projected into this disc. So let's see how this goes. Yeah. On, bringing it up. Go to voltage. We're gonna make this a slow process. We're about 90 volts, and we have some oscillator action going on here. The horizontal oscillator. That's pretty much what we expected to see, which is great. Just some activity there. More of a sawtooth is what it's supposed to be, but there's some oscillator activity, and it probably doesn't take its full shape until the horizontal is completely running. It took me a second while I was getting this going to just confirm, because the power comes in here and it goes to this the Space Command chassis, and that is somewhere in the Space Command chassis. Then it shoots over here to this switch on the back, the normal auto, and if it's in auto, you have to toggle the, I guess that's the volume stepper. It steps 3 volume levels and then to off, I guess. But it took me a minute to figure that out, and then the chassis isn't marked at all about what's normal in auto panel. So, yeah, the dial light doesn't seem to work, not surprising, but we have some filament glowage, and we'll bring it up a little bit. Go up a little bit, 90 some volts, go to 100. And 100-ish. And let's see, we probably have some, I would expect to have some volume. Oh yeah. Yep. Oop, that's hot. Oh boy, that is a hot one. I'm gonna get some gloves on. Yep, so, this is the audio output. Very dirty, was dirty. A lot of dirty stuff. Wouldn't mean it wouldn't run though. What is this? This is the sync AGC. And okay, so this one, what is this? That's the sound discriminator. So these two are audio. This would be the audio output tube. Audio output transformer, and we have our speakers, woofers and tweeters. Do we have any glowage in here? Oh, for sure we do. All right, well this is coming back up to life. Anything in here? No, this has been turned off. So as far as I can tell, that's the switch. Not gonna mess with that quite yet. Yeah, so I was just fooling around with this. I just flipped the Space Command chassis into what would be auto mode. And let's see, this clearly, if you look at the filament glows, this is on, and we toggle it, where's this way, toggle it to, it's not working at all. Well, now we're off. We just shut it off. There we go. Now it's on again. So that's how that works. The volume stepper, 3-position volume, and then off, on, off. Oh, I'll be darned. The channel changer works. That's cool. All right. Okay, well, I don't know why we wouldn't throw some power to this, because all that's missing here is the, we'll let it go for a little bit longer, but all that's missing is the horizontal, the plate connection of the horizontal output tube. Okay. And amp and a half. Maximum current should be like 2.1 or something like that. So yeah, it's not conducting, but everything looks fine. No, cold. Everything's cold. So that's good. Oop. Fire, fire, fire. Something's burning. We're gonna shut this off. Shit. We did not want to do that. What happened? What happened? I reconnected the plate cap. Let's just throw power to it. Let's see what happens. Keep an eye on this. Maybe we get a raster. Here we go. Ramps. Do we have a picture? I hear something going. Brightness. Where's contrast? Oh, here it is. Something going on here. Push normal, contrast, pull for dynamic. Oh, look at that. Kind of a raster. Yes, we do. But it's all wrong. It's at the way wrong speed. Smokage? No. can hear the vertical running. Let's try the vertical hold, see where we're at. Maybe that's it. Vertical hold. Oh, that's pot is bad, Pat. All right. Obviously, these control pods are filthy, dirty. Contrast. There's a dynamic contrast and a push for normal contrast, pull for dynamic. When we go into dynamic, we get something. Brightness does work. All right. Nothing in normal contrast mode. Okay, so we go into here. We do not have vertical height. There's a little fold over at the bottom. This is the horizontal oscillator. Exercise it. Vertical hold. Oop. Oh, that vertical pot is really a mess. Well, we have a kind of a raster here. Let's see what happens in the back. Oh, it's smelling pretty bad. Oh, there's stuff going on here. All right, we got to shut this down. Shoot. Okay, well, something's burning underneath, that's for sure. Could be dust, but probably not. Not the way this smells. There's something else going on. All right, well, we had something going on. All right, so what do we know that works? Well, the flyback works, and the deflection yoke is okay, and the channel changer thing works. Sound works. Yeah, just a note, right after the shutdown, this can is really warm. So that's a big part of it. No, not this one. This one is, though. It was obviously pretty hot. What is this? Can we read that? Yeah, this capacitor is cooling off, but it stayed warm for quite a while. This turns out to be C2. Yeah, the others are fine. I can still smell... Yeah, very strongly the something that burned, and gosh, I sure hope it isn't this the audio output transformer. The sound was still working when we shut it off, but C2 is a 4-section capacitor, 2 4s, a 50 and a 40, and looking at the schematic now, that C2A, it's a 4 microfarad. It's in the main filter network. It looks like it's the filter for the 100-volt source. Over here is what is it? That's the other 4. It's part of the AGC circuit. Yeah, that's okay. That wouldn't start anything on fire. And but unfortunately, 2 of those, the 50 and the 40, are directly in with the audio circuit. This 40 comes right off of the audio output. So, I mean, I think this is where we're going to find something that got very warm. We're going to take this chassis out. I'm pretty certain that the CRT is attached to the frame of the chassis. So we'll just start on this end. I had to pull off the knob on the horizontal hold right there. That's the horizontal hold control, but it's actually the horizontal oscillator coil. Zenith has done that for a long time. It's really neat, actually, how they did it. And then the rest of the stuff, I believe, can just stay here. This is the fine-tuning knob, because that's the channel changer. This is the fine-tuning knob. And I take that back. These have to come off. Knob. Uh-oh. knob, and knob. Okay, so we got that going for us. Do I need to mark these? Oh, maybe I should have. No, I think they're all the same. Okay. So that's good on this end. And coming around to the back, well, underneath, first of all, I saw 5 chassis mount screws that have to come up, so those will come off. And I believe there are 4 of these. It's 1/4 inch right there, the silver one, 1/4 inch. And then over here, there's one up there, and then there's one there. And let's see, the control panel that has the bass and treble control, that has to come up. I believe that, no, there's a plug on the back here. I'm gonna look and see. That's the plug that I believe goes to those controls. Yeah, maybe, at least some of them. And then these other, shoot, but that one of them has to come out. And no, the tuner stays, at least until further notice. And the Space Command chassis gets unplugged here. And this should disconnect bass and treble. Snip that. That's actually not period. And then the speakers, woofers and tweeters, get disconnected from the audio output transformer. And then there's a little hookup chart on the side, so we got that going for us. All right, well, I'm gonna start this, show you what I learned. There were 4 larger lag screws. These 4 held the main chassis in from underneath. And you do have to take the Space Command chassis out. There's this many. How many is this many? 3 of those. Different size head on them, so it's pretty easily distinguishable. You have to take that one out because as you pull back the chassis, the CRT hits the tubes, and also you've got to scooch the main chassis. Once you get the controls through the front panel, you've got to scoot it. You're gonna have to scoot it this away. But that's all it was. It looks like this whole thing, aside from having to unhook the tuner. What do we have here? Yellow. Let me just make a note of this. Yellow, brown, and red. And it's pretty standard what Zenith was doing with their color code. I'm not exactly sure what it was. One was B+, one was filament, and one is something else, AGC or something like that. So let me mark that, unhook that, and I'll pull this out, taking out this first. This is totally loose. Yep. And oh, it doesn't weigh much of anything. Look at this. Beautiful. All right, got it out. Many thanks to Shango, who wasted his time. I didn't have to do that. I just followed his guide. But here's the chassis. Yeah. This picture tube, as we talked about, it's superb. So, but this whole thing is very, super front heavy. So I've got to figure out some way of supporting it. I guess I can put it on its on this side. Work on it, I guess. Got to figure that out. It's pretty heavy though. It's hard for me to lift this without doing a number on my back. So, all right, gotta figure this out. I gotta store this up differently so I can get at this. Then first that, then this. Okay. Yeah, I just took the door off the high voltage cage. I had not looked inside here. A lot of wax. That had accumulated on the bottom. And there is the top of the plate cap connector that's sitting down there. I don't know how it got broken off. I don't know if it was broken off or if it broke from the heat, but how did wax get across that wire with the dip in it and accumulate on that plate? Plate cap. I don't know. How many of you have seen these fuse holders and not had any idea how to open them? And you think that because it's hex shaped, that you'd be able to get a wrench or pliers on this and that this would twist and release the fuse, and then you just pull the fuse up. Who've done that? Who did that? And when you put the pliers to it and you twist, all you hear is the cracking and crunching of plastic, because that's not how it's supposed to work. And I don't understand why. It just looks like that's how this should work. And I don't understand who thought of this and thought that designing it like this is a good idea, but it's not. And the way to get the fuse out is you push it down and you turn it, in this case counterclockwise, and it just pulls right out. And the difference is that this fuse, you see, it's hard to see here, right there. There's a little lip in two places, there and there. And it sort of catches inside of this. It catches inside of this. And then you push it down, and then you turn it, bayonet type style, and it latches. So it comes up. So those little lips come up, I guess, across here. And anyway, now I've seen one of these, and I'm surprised this thing is still in one piece, because I kind of... All right, so I've got the chassis on a little roll-around cart, picture tube face down, just kind of going through the chassis and giving it the old once-over. Making a parts list also. So I've got the schematic. I downloaded the SAMs, and then in Photoshop I just enlarged it, cut it out into two parts, printed it out, so each half is a separate half, and then I trimmed the paper and taped it together. It gives it a bigger, gives you a much bigger thing to look at. I don't need my glasses on for everything then. And yeah, for color chassis, you've got significantly more stuff that you have to have in there too. And then I've got a list of the values of the capacitors, printout, and then an exploded diagram, parts locator diagram. So I can go through and highlight the ones I want to change, and because you can see there's some bumblebees in here. Zenith in the day, Zenith really did source some of the best materials that they could find. And these bumblebees, these spray bumblebees, were really considered to be excellent capacitors at the time. But, well, I can see, maybe it's hard to see, but there are cracks in two of these. So these are gonna go, and while I'm in it, I might as well change a lot of those. And of course the electrolytic cans, there's C2 is right there, and it looks like I would usually just cut it off and drill holes and put the components on top, but there is absolutely no way to get in there and work. So I'm gonna have to snip the wires and relocate some of those capacitors. And I don't know, some of these I'll probably just replace. They're easily accessible. But the thing is that I found was really interesting. There is a brand of capacitor that was called John E. Fast. There's a couple of John E. Fast capacitors in here. And yeah, I looked it up on the interweb. Absolutely, there was a company that made capacitors, and the company name was Johnny Fast. So I don't know if I'm going to replace those. I got to see where that is in the circuit. I took the cap off the bottom of the high voltage rectifier, and it's I don't know what to make of this. It's first of all, this coil of wire. Where is it? This coil of wire. I don't even know what that does, but something got really crusty in here, and I'm wondering if it was this that I was smelling when I had it running briefly. I don't know. Resistors look okay. I'll have to check everything, but today's agenda is to just let's see if we can get in there. I don't know. This wire's okay, well, we'll see once we get into it. Oh yeah, I've got to spray the controls. You know, I've learned over time, when you get the chassis in a position, just spray the controls. Don't wait until you get it running before you do that kind of maintenance, because inevitably you'll forget and you get it all back together, or just do it now. So that's what I'm going to do. Right now it's just cleaning, inspecting, and making a parts list of what we need. Before I spray the controls, I was just going to mark the approximate position of where they're at now, because you're going to work it back and forth. But if you can get it back into the same approximate position, then it's not going to be so far off when you get it running again. So I just start making marks where I can. Little notch here. It's hard to see, but put a little spot on it underneath the shaft. That one there. This one, same here on that shaft. This is the horizontal oscillator coil, so we're not going to do anything. We're not going to touch that. And these two are like, I don't know, AGC and oh no, vertical linearity, vertical height, that kind of thing. So these are marked also. And then what else? We got this one up here. Picture peak. Let's give the old picture peak mark. Not that it really matters. And then the buzz control, which really doesn't work on any of these. Okay, so I'm just gonna zap these controls. This mini kit of deoxit sampler kit of sorts. Fader lube, plastic fader, deoxit gold, and I put them in these medical syringes, and I just label it like that. So that works pretty well. You don't have to use much to get in there. You know, you can just. But I'm gonna start first with just straight up brute force, and we'll go from there. Let's see if this works. Oh, does it ever work? Oh yeah, here we go. Watch this. Oh yeah. This would be like that's a wire wound. The buzz control is a wire wound. And and give it another squirt for fun. Fun. It's fun. This is fun. 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 And right up. There we go. All right. Okay. And then up here on top, sprayed them all, worked them in. All that's good to go.
Hi, I'm Dave. Today, I'm going to show you how to inject SkyRizzy at home with the SkyRizzy On-Body Injector, or OBI for short. Before you try to inject, you should be shown how to do it correctly by a healthcare professional, and read the instructions for use that are folded inside your OBI box. This spells out everything you need to do step by step.
Doesn't really seem to want to lock. The vertical hold, according to the frequency counter, that's about right. That's about where it should be, because that's the frequency right there, 59.98. And, well, it just kind of keeps rolling. This sync isn't right. The linearity is completely effed, and